Welcome to episode 12 of our 5-Minute Faculty Development Series. It's been a year since the series began. Recently, a junior faculty member asked about putting together her curriculum vitae. I imagine she isn't the only one, and this episode is going to be covering that. As a disclaimer, the video will be longer than the standard 5 minutes because after the usual informational part, I'll walk through one of my CVs to show you what I've been talking about. So stick around to the end to see that if you want. First, what is a curriculum vitae, and is it the same thing as a resume, just with a fancier name? Curriculum vitae is Latin for course of life, but it's specifically within the professional arena, so you could think of it as your professional life story. Your CV should include all the education and training, all the positions, all the grants, publications, and awards, all the people you've trained and mentored, the lectures you've given, and anything pertaining to your accomplishments and qualifications for your current position, future promotion, or any position to which you might aspire. We will return to that idea a little bit later. The CV is not the same as a resume. A resume is a short document, usually less than 2 pages, that gives a 30,000-foot view of what someone has done. In academic medicine, the CV is a much more exhaustive document that can, in the case of most storied careers, reach over 100 pages. Now, some of you may have a vital question. Why do I need to care about my CV? The reality is, if you are not interested in being promoted, receiving awards for your work, having opportunities for career advancement, getting grants to support your work, serving in local, regional, or national organizations, and or moving to another university at some point, you don't need to care about your CV at all. But if you do want any of those things to happen, a well-maintained CV is critical. Without it, you can forget having the chance for any of those things. Okay, so how do you start putting together your CV? There are two first steps. A, get the CV template for the University of Kentucky, which you can find at this URL. Or if you're applying to some other position at another institution, find their CV template. Secondly, ask to borrow the CV of a highly accomplished colleague. After you review those resources, you should be able to see where things go and how they are formatted. Then it's essentially a matter of plugging in all your data. Let me make a comment here on formatting. From what I can tell, nearly every university has its own template and format for their curriculum vitae. They all cover the same information, but may use different headings, fonts, and the order in which things are listed. I've noticed some faculty members here who are overly punctilious about the formatting of CVs. My general philosophy on this is that while it's a good idea to use the university's formatting when you're applying for promotion or a new position within the university, as long as all the information is included in a well-organized manner, it really isn't that big of a deal. If I've received 2 R01s, published over 100 manuscripts, or built a world-class clinical program, people reviewing my CV aren't going to care if my instruction section comes before or after my publication section, or they won't care what font I use. Now, for full disclosure, I keep 2 CVs, one in the UK format and one in a format I prefer. Before I close this video, I wanted to offer a few high-level tips on the CV. 1. Don't lie and don't embellish. Your CV should simply report the news, what you have done. Update frequently. I update my CV anytime I have something new to add. It takes only a few seconds. Don't feel overly constrained with formatting. Just make sure all the information is there and it's well organized. If it contributes to the advancement of the organization, find a way to include it. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching. But wait, there's more. Okay, I said I would review my CV to provide practical insight into this, so let's do that now. Here's a copy of my CV. I've updated it as of today. You can see the general formatting. Now, I've included my birthplace. Some people do that, some don't. That's not required, but I have that. I have my citizenship. This is important for those who are not native born to the U.S. and may have visa considerations when applying to positions. Other things that I have a leadership website and I have the URL for that. So you can see I've got my education, postgraduate training, residency, fellowship, advanced fellowship, And then other things like professional trainings, including my coaching training, Chairs Academy, and some other things. Next is academic appointments, and I have these by institution, the years that I was in a given appointment. So while I was a fellow, I was a clinical instructor in the Department of Pediatrics at Penn. I was also a staff outpatient cardiologist when I was an advanced fellow. And so you can see walking through, these are my positions, and this is what I've been doing as I've gone along. I have military service. A lot of people won't necessarily have that. Specialty certifications, and these include the number of my board certifications and where I am with regard to MOC and so forth. Licensure here, I have numbers available upon request. People can actually find that on the internet, but in the event that my CV gets out to the general public, I don't want to have my DEA number or other things just listed there. Honors and awards of various types, memberships in professional societies, activities in those professional societies. These may include things like being in a workshop, being in a group on faculty affairs, the Association of American Medical Colleges, and so forth. Committee appointments, and then I have these broken out by local, national, and international. So if I'm in a committee that is a local sort of thing, let's say at the University of Kentucky, that's listed under local. National is organizations that have a national reach, obviously, and then international work. Editorial positions, this includes being on the editorial board as well as being a guest editor. Of note here, at one point I actually had being the associate editor of special sections of the American Journal of Cardiology because for some period of time, about 6 months, back in about 2018, my name appeared as having that title on the AJC website. And so I put that on my CV. As soon as I asked them about it and they said, oh no, that's a mistake, then I took it off my CV. Ad hoc reviewers, this is for those who haven't done reviewing. This is if you get an email from a given journal, let's say pediatrics, and they ask you to review a journal article, then you can put that on your CV and that counts as academic work. Administrative responsibilities here, clinical director of various things at places that I've been, as well as including the title here for my vice chair role at the University of Kentucky. And I've got research activities. I've broken this out by current funding versus completed funding. Some people won't have any of this. If you're not someone who does research and so forth, and you won't have research funding and that sort of thing. And so in that scenario, you just leave out the section. If you have no research activities, no grant funding, it's not a big deal. Just don't have it in your CV. It draws more attention if you have research activities none, and if you just have it absent. So my recommendation is just don't include it. Then for me, I've also got submitted external proposals that are pending, ones that were not funded, and current research studies that I'm doing, teaching activities, faculty development activities. I even have on there these faculty development training videos. So 5-minute faculty development has made its way into my CV. You can see that I haven't updated it for today because right now I'm still recording it. Coaching activities, and I have mentoring activities, and I've broken that out by faculty and the time span in which I was doing the mentoring. So you can see faculty, some of those are still present. You can see fellows as well as residents, advanced practice providers. I think that's important. I've helped develop the careers of a few of those folks, and then students, and those include medical students as well as undergraduate students. I have a section on visiting professorships and invited lectures of various sorts. And again, for the invited lectures, I've broken those out to local, regional, national, and international. So that gives the reviewer some degree of understanding of someone's professional reputation and the span of that. Then I have didactic lectures. You can see that the first lecture I gave as a faculty member was echocardiography and coarctation of the aorta, and I presented that at the weekly pediatric echocardiography conference at Arkansas Children's Hospital. I don't have that listed here, but that's where it was. And so then I have those listed over the years. Professional community activities include things like being interviewed for the news or radio or something else like that. Or I was the chair of Northern California Walk for Victory for the Marfan Foundation in 2021. So that's an example. Then I have scholarly publications. There are a number of ways to do this in this particular CV format that I'm using. I have peer-reviewed manuscripts. I actually have the total listed as well as the number that where I was the first author or the senior author. I do this because in some rather demanding universities, they don't count the number of publications except for if you're a first author or a senior author. And additionally, you can see that I have bold font my name so that makes it clear. So when someone's reviewing the publications that I've produced, they can determine, oh, I was the first author on this one, number 20, in case you can't see my pointer, and I was a senior author on number 18. And so anyway, that goes along through the publications that I've had. I also have included some that were under review. This is debated whether or not to do this, and for the sake of promotion, I think probably not. Um, but anyway, I keep these on here as much as anything so that I can help remember what I've got out there and what I need to be working on and thinking about coming back from reviewers and so forth. But anyway, manuscripts under review, I have a total of 4, and I've got those listed out. And then those that are in preparation, I've got 7. And then I have scientific statements and committee reports, and these are a different sort of thing. They're peer reviewed, but they're not research. Okay, so they're synthesis of things, and they do carry some heft because they demonstrate a national or international reputation that one has been invited to be a part of these sorts of things. Then I have editorials and letters to the editor that are in peer-reviewed journals. Again, I list the number of those, book chapters, and then abstracts. And again, with the abstracts, I have first author and senior author accounting there as well. And so you can see those. And when it comes to the abstracts, I include where was it presented, and when I know, I include the date as well as the type of presentation. Specifically, if it was a podium presentation, then I typically note that. Though as I look at this, I'm seeing some things that were podium presentations, and I have not expressly stated that. So it gives me an opportunity to go back and tighten the screws a little bit on this CV. And then finally, this is something that I've chosen to do that I haven't seen anyone else do, but basically it helps anybody reviewing my CV understand that I have a real commitment to personal leadership development, if they couldn't tell by some of the other stuff that I've done. And therein, I've kept track since 2018, when I started really focusing on leadership development. I've kept track of the books I've read since 2018. And in fact, in this, I've got them in rank order. But someone can come to the end of my CV and say, well, here's this guy, and he's read now 289 books on leadership. And so apparently he really has an interest in leadership. And for the love of Pete, if, he's reading that many books, surely he has learned something about leadership. And so maybe we need to think about him in that space. So there may be other things that you want to add. Some people add personal things. I don't usually do that. Don't necessarily recommend that. Now, if you're, world champion lacrosse player or something like that, occasionally people will put activities of that nature at the end of their CV, but I refrain from doing that, but I think that's a philosophical thing. So that's up to each person. It certainly is not out of the ordinary to see that. The CV format at UK actually includes the last section is something like other activities, and you could put hen raising or whatever it may be there. But again, I tend not to do that. So anyway, that's a rather quick review of my CV. And if you have any questions about this or would like me to review your CV, please feel free to reach out and contact me. Be happy to do so. Otherwise, thank you for listening to episode 12 of 5 Minute Faculty Development, and I hope you have a great day.